Hi, good morning everyone. Let's get started with the next topic for this training session, which is on importing and transporting a request. So let's go into the transport strategy first. Okay, so this is a simple landscape which have a dev system, a quality system, a production system. From the dev system, there is a consolidation route which transfers the changes from dev to QAS environment. From QAS environment to production environment, the changes are transferred by a delivery route. And to make this happen, there is a central transport directory. Basically, as a step one, the changes are created in a transport and they are released and exported from the dev system. Okay, and once they are exported out, you can import those changes in the quality system, that is QAS. After that, after it is imported successfully, you can test and validate, and after successful test, you can import them into production. So this is a simple transport strategy. That is, the first step in the transport process is to release a transport request and thereby export all the associated objects from the database of the development system to files in the common transport directory at the OS level. For each transport request released, the data is exported to a data file in the subdirectory data, and a control file is written to the subdirectory core files. During export, the entries required for the subsequent import are created in the import buffer of the target system, and a test import can be performed. Okay, here you can see the release and the export process. You have a transport, you release that transport request. Okay, so then the transport request goes to the buffer of QAS, and you can find there will be a data and core file for TR1. So that is basically the release and export process. So the transport is created in your dev system. Okay, so let's get into how do we create a transport. Okay, so let me connect to the SAP system. For creating a transport, what you can do is you can go to AC09. Okay, now here you can create a transport. Okay, these are the different options for creating a transport. You can create a customizing request, you can create a workbench request, you can create a transport of copy, you can create relocation of object without package change, relocation of objects with package change, relocation of complete package. So most of the time these are the two options which are selected depending on whether it is a customizing change or it is a workbench request. Okay, so once we have decided which particular object to include, okay, we need to give a name. Okay, so let's give a name that it's a sample request. Okay, here we need to give the project name in case if it need to be tied to a project. Okay, then here you need to specify the target system. Okay, this target system, here you can specify the target system and you can just save that particular request. Okay, on saving the request, you can see that this is a transport request is created. Now if I double click on this, I can add the objects into it. Okay, I can go to the edit mode and start adding the objects that I want to edit. Okay, so once that part is done, what happens is you can release that particular request. Okay, now we have seen that this particular request is, there is no object defined in this. So this is the request which is already there. This is request we have just created. this is a workbench request, this is a customizing request, and I can come here and I can add the so this is your transport task, this is your transport request. So as a step one, what you need to do is you need to release the transport. Basically you need to release the task first. So this is one task, just select this and release the transport task. Okay, next step is you need to release all the tasks before you can release the transport request. Okay, so I have released both the task which is there in this particular transport request, and now I am ready to release this particular transport request. Okay, now on releasing the transport request, here you can see that it is taking time to release the request. So let's give it a few minutes and we will go to the logs. At the bottom you can see that it is trying to connect to the TP. Okay, so TP is the transport program. Now you can see this is released. This tick mark indicates that this transport request has been released successfully. To see the logs, you can just click on this tab which is for the transport logs. Okay, just select the object and select the transport logs. Here you can see that this has so many objects. Okay, then select the transport logs. Okay, so this is how you can release a transport request. You can release the task and then transport request in the order. Okay, then this is basically we just saw what happens when you release a request. Okay, so when you release the request, it goes and sits into the buffer of a quality system. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Here you can see that now the buffer, it's there in the buffer of quality system. So if you release this particular request in QA system, this will be exported out from this and it will be there in the import buffer of production system. Okay, same thing, say create and release correction in dev system to QA system, and you import the correction in the QA system, and after that once it is successfully tested, it is okay, approve the whole project, and then you can import the whole project in production. Okay, now let's see the details about the transport queue. Okay, what are the things in the transport queue? So let's log into a system and see this information. Okay, now let's look at the import queue. So to directly go to the particular import queue, this is the T code, that is HTMS_import. We can use this T code directly to go to the import queue. Okay, here you can see the import queue of this particular system, and this is the number of requests which is there in the queue. Okay, so here you can see that there are a number of things that is available in this particular table that you are seeing. This is the queue, basically all the transport that has been there. Okay, so the first is the sequence number, second is the request number. You can see the format of the request number. DE2 is the system ID, then you have K9, and then after that you have the number. Okay, and after that you have the owner, that is which user has released this request and which project, in case if you have a project assigned to it. Okay, and then you have the predecessor relation information and the short text. Okay, then status. Okay, if you click on the status, import status, it will show you the import status. Okay, so import status, basically we will look at the legend as well. Okay, so let me show you the legend for this. Basically, okay, so this is the legend. Click on this, it will show you the legend. So here you can see this indicates that it is a support package, this indicates it's a client transport, and this indicates data file must be transferred. Okay, this is about the number. Then let's get into the status fields. Okay, if you see this, that means that request must still be approved. So that means the workflow is defined for it. Okay, request is rejected. This means it is rejected to be moved further. Then here this request doesn't match component version. Red indicates request will not be imported. So just take note of this red, which is pretty important. Okay, so any request which is rejected, we need to go to the logs to see why this particular request is not moved and it cannot be moved further. Okay, then we have this gray icon. Gray means that a request after the end mark. Okay, yellow, this sign is pretty important. This means that the request is ready for import again. Okay, green means request is waiting for to be imported, and this watch symbol here you can see, this means that the import is scheduled, and this truck sign, this indicates that import is running, and this tick mark indicates that request already imported. You should go through them in detail, these particular signs, because they are very important to see what is the status of the existing request in the import queue. Okay, so let's continue with our slide. Here you can see the order for the import. We just saw the number is there. Then we saw its request number. After that, type. Okay, so type is another thing that we can define or we can modify this particular legend. So basically here, if I just close this and if I personalize this particular settings, this is the settings for personalizing. Okay, so I just need to define basically the filters. Okay, what are the filters I want? Okay, import status. Do I want to filter on the import status? Okay, in the import status you are seeing request doesn't match compression version. Request already imported. So that is about this field here. Okay, then we have the owner, we have project. Okay, then this track sign, that means that you can just select the request and click on import request, it will import it. Okay, so same thing goes for close import queue. You want to close the queue, you can just click on this, it will close the queue. And if you select this transport request and click on the logs, it will give you the details of the log. That is, you will see the details of the import process here. Okay, so as a step 1, it shows check at operating system level. Pre-export methods, export, selection for import, import. So basically here you can see the steps. So as a step 1, check at operating system level. So what happens here is that you can just click on this and it will show you that this is the transport request. It is for this system, TP command, and this is the version of the TP that is being used. So checking further buffer can be written to this, and return code is 0. 0 means a successful return code. Okay, now if you click on this plus sign, it will give you more details about the buffer. Okay, so let's go back and let's go to the pre-export methods. Okay, in the pre-export methods, here you can see that this is basically, so here you can see the pre-export method, preparation for the export. Okay, then next is the actual export is taking place. Okay, so the process for the export, main export is taking here. Okay, then let's get to the next is selection for the import. Okay, it's selected for the import, and here its actual import is taking place. And if you just expand this, okay, here you can see that this is the source system is equal to the target system. So basically here you'll find the information about the source. Okay, then feedback after export or import. Okay, so basically here in this log file you can see the exact things what is going through this particular export cycle. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Source system, you can have a target system, return code, import flag, unconditional mode, whether it is active or not, component check, status. Okay, so this is about the import queue information. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, in the next slide what you're seeing is you are seeing the import queue and the import buffer. Okay, to set an end mark or the stop mark by closing an import queue, in the import queue you can select queue close. This is analogous to the operating system command tp set stop mark. Okay, so this is about how you can stop the queue, close the queue. Okay, to remove the end mark, same thing, you can just click queue open, and at the OS level you can type the command as tp del stop mark. Okay, so that is about the import queue. Now in the import queue, basically use the import queue to view the status of the transport requests and access. Okay, so you can see the objects list, documentation and the transport logs. Close and open the queue, move the end mark. Then next thing what you can do here is you can import all requests, you can import complete project, you can import preliminary request and request according to filter setting, and you can add, delete and forward the request as well. So let me show you how you do the forwarding of the request. Okay, so this is your import queue. Okay, just select on this. Okay, now here you can see the forward. You can just click on forward and just click on system. Now it will show you this is your transport request to which system you want to forward this request. So you can select the target system and you can forward the request to those target systems from here. So that is about the forwarding part. Okay, so let's continue with the slides. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so basically here it's import all requests. You are importing everything, the entire project. Okay, then you have import complete project is getting imported. Okay, you can import a single request. Okay, so date and time of import. So this is an import. Is it an immediate import? You can do it immediately. You can schedule this particular transport request import, or you can schedule it after an event or after a periodic event. Okay, now the timing. Basically you have a development system, you have a quality system, you have a production system. These are the clients for the development system, cust and test. So basically these are the transport points. Now from there you are exporting that and importing into quality assurance system. The timing of transport is determined by the role of client, synchronization needs, testing and verification, code freezing requirement. So code freezing is something which you will be hearing very common when you work in a company. Basically they come with a freeze period, that is no changes will be transported into production environment during that particular period. So they call that as a code freeze, that is no changes. Okay, period. Next is importing into QAS. Basically the importing into QAS requires no ongoing testing related to the affected business process. Okay, importing into production requires no users working with affected business process, no business jobs running related to the affected business process, and no RFC communication related to the affected business process is taking place. Okay, now here you can see the transport strategies. Let's go there. So basically here, let me take you to this particular system and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, now let's go to HTMS. So this is basically the transport management system. If you come here, you can get a system overview. Okay, now if you just double click on this, it will show you the configuration of this system. Its status system is active. Okay, now transport tool, basically TP configuration is active. This is the version. Okay, now let's come to the communication part. You can see transport domain, the controller, the transport group, and RFC address information. Then let's go to the transport tool. Okay, in the transport tool, these are the different parameters for the transport. Okay, so key thing is no import all is set. Okay, that is we are not importing everything at one shot. Okay, so that is about this, and let's go to the next slide. Basically here you can see the dev related, that is queue controlled mass transports. Okay, so let me show you this as well. Basically what we need to do is we need to go to the graphical editor. Okay, so let's go back, and this is your transport routes. Okay, now once you go to the transport routes, basically you are logged onto the domain controller. So this is the domain controller. Okay, now if you just double click this, here you can see this is basically the system attributes. Status is active, configuration is current, and transport strategy. This is basically queue control transport. Mass transports is active, and let's see the standard transport layer for this. You can see that this transport layer is the transport layer for this. Okay, so basically these are the things that I wanted to cover, show you live on the system. Okay, so that's about the transport strategy. Now transport of copies, this is one thing that we just saw. Transport of copies, basically this is a new concept in Solution Manager. Its concept is there pretty old, but it's being heavily used in Solution Manager in CHARM, that is change and request management. So what it does is that instead of moving the actual transport for testing and QA system, it moves a copy of the transport first. The copy is successful, and then finally you can move it the actual transport. Okay, then QA approval procedure and transport proposals. So basically you define the QA system, you define the approval process. Okay, TMS, quality assurance. So when you activate the QA approval process, transport requests are only forwarded to the delivery system, and if all the QA approvals are processed for the request in the QA system and the request has been approved, then only it will be moved to the subsequent system. So here you can see the steps in the QA approval process. Okay, now if you want to see the QA history, who approved it, the transport request to be moved to this environment. Okay, then special transports, basically how you can configure the special transport. Okay, creating transport proposals, you can do it at this location. Basically go to AC09 and then you can find this information. Okay, steps in import process. So here basically in this slide I'm showing you the details of what are all the steps in a transport. Basically whenever you export or import a transport, this is what happens. These are the sequence of steps that happens. DDIC, active, main. So basically these are the different steps. So XPRA, general, U mode. Okay, so what all these are? So these are the details of this. Basically DDIC I is ABAP dictionary import. Then step 2 and 3 is ABAP dictionary activation, distribution, structure conversion, and move name tab. Okay, then step number 3 is main import. Step number 4 is basically consisting of all of this. where it is MC act, that is activation of the in-queue definition, then is in-queue conversion, then this one versioning, XPRA basically execution of user defined activities, and generation of ABAP programs and screens. Okay, next thing is let's get into the OS level commands, which is TP and R3 trans. TP is basically used for moving any transport. So here you can see that SAP system, dev system, export is done, then it's imported. So what happens at the OS level? You connect and read using R3 trans. Calls TP, it reads and writes the logs and data into transport directory, and R3 trans in turn reads it from the transport directory and connects and updates and deletes and inserts into the quality system. So this is basically the sequence. Okay, so this is basically telling that what is involved in moving a transport request from one environment to another environment, and how TP is triggered, and what this RDDMP DP process is. Okay, so that's basically the details of this process. Just read through this one. This will give you an idea about how exactly the transport request is moved from one environment to another environment. And RDDIMP, basically this is very important, and you can trigger it using go to SE38 and just run this program, and you'll be able to trigger an SAP event called SAP_trigger_RDDIMP DP event. Okay, then TP import line commands. So these are pretty important as well. TP import all, then SID client equal to the client number, and PF is the TP profile file. So this basically import everything. Then if you want to import a single request, just specify the single request instead of all. Okay, then we have these are the TP commands. Okay, now the transport directory naming convention. Okay, so basically here you have dev system, you have quality system. User this creates a change request, this one. Now act log. So this is the transport request. SAP name is this. Data file will have this name. You can see the data file starting with R, then this number dot the SID. Co-file starting with K, then this number dot the SID, which is DEV, and the buffer is, this will go into the QAS buffer. Okay, so this is basically showing the temporary logs. Okay, now let's get into the return codes. Just take note that 0 means successful. 4 is warning, you may ignore them if you want to. 8 is, that means that there is an error and which has to be fixed before you can continue further. And 16 means it's a transport error. So this is where you can troubleshoot it. Okay, this is showing how you can transport a non-ABAP content. Basically this is in CDS Plus. Okay, that's all actually I wanted to cover in this particular training session. Thanks for joining and have a nice day. Bye bye.